Welcome to Still Untitled, the Adam Savage Project. I'm Will.
I'm Adam.
And I'm Norm.
I'm sorry it's been a couple of weeks.
It's been 3 weeks.
For people,
Yeah.
they don't know that.
Oh,
We
really?
had a podcast last week.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah.
We're
Hey,
just a little late this
welcome
week.
back, everybody.
Yeah, hey.
Welcome back.
Hey, guys, uninterrupted podcast flow.
Yes.
Uninterrupted podcast flow. Although time shifted.
Yes, a little
Yeah.
bit time shifted. We were
Speaking of, I'm time shifted.
Yeah.
I'm still not quite back from the jet lag.
Boy, are your arms tired.
When we left you last, when Will left you last, you
Yeah.
had not even been to New Zealand yet.
You guys were still American.
And when
I
I
know
left you last,
I
you
know
were still Kiwi. Still,
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So we spent 12 days in New Zealand and then 10 days in Australia.
So as soon as I quit tested, you guys started doing all the fun stuff. Just for the record.
Budapest,
Yeah.
Cornwall, London.
Yeah, Australia, New Zealand.
Purely
the-
correlation.
More Large Hadron Collider.
Low R value.
Yeah.
More now with more LHC.
So what were you doing in New Zealand, Mr. Savage?
Well, we went to see part of our extended family, the wonderful folks at Weta Workshop, Richard Taylor and his incredible, intrepid team of master craftspeople and geniuses. And honestly, we had last time, if you listen to the podcast long enough to hear the last time we came back from New Zealand, all the same stuff still applies. New Zealand's an amazing country full of wonderful people. Weta is an incredible company full of the most dedicated, innovative, improvisational, professional folks that we get to work with on a regular basis.
It really is. It was a treat to chat with Richard and have him spend some of his time, his lunchtime. He didn't eat his. He never ate his salad to podcast with us, which was the last week's episode. If you haven't listened to that, you have to.
Oh, I got to go
because
back and listen to it.
It is so inspirational.
It's so inspiring. Richard
Yeah.
Richard is a walking tower of aphorisms, and they are all completely genuine from the bottom of his soul about how to foment great creativity among a large team of people that you have committed your life to.
Oh, man, that is so actionable and useful. That's so good.
It really it was incredible to spend so much time. And again, Richard gets more done. I feel lazy around Richard Taylor.
Right? We often think of
God.
you as
and
lazy Adam Savage.
and we have it's a trickle down effect because we feel lazy around you, and when you feel lazy around Richard Taylor,
yeah.
I don't even know what to do.
And then we also played around with Peter Jackson. We had many adventures with him, separate from and connected to the adventures we had with Richard.
Some of the stuff's going to show up on Tested
Some
at some
of the
point.
stuff is going to show up on
Right.
Tested over the next few months.
Yep.
I will say this. I'll give this teaser. The last time we went to Weta, we covered multiple departments at Weta and the particular genius that they bring to each of their projects. This time we did the same thing, but instead of doing it as a series of separate pieces, this time we came with a framework. That's all I'm going to say. We came with a framework under which we could watch the different departments execute their genius.
Which is not to say we didn't also do what we did last time and cover some of their existing projects.
Yeah, we revisited our
yep.
friend Johnny Fraser Allen
Yep.
and his incredible creations, and holy cow, have things developed on that front.
Cool.
But under this rubric, we had a lot of fun playing with Weta on Weta's level, and oh my God, did we all three, you, me, and Joey, have all watched all three Lord of the Rings films since?
I was just about to say, did you do the thing where we independently?
Well, you have a flight, right?
Right, and got. Did you do the extended or the?
I did the extended for Fellowship, and by the way, Fellowship. It's funny. It sounds weird, but it's so much better than I remember. I didn't remember it not being great, but it's much better than I remember.
Oh, so the problem with the reason people didn't like Fellowship is it's all scene, it's all setting, it's all scene setting, right?
But holy cow, I couldn't believe that by the time they entered Moria, I was still just past the halfway mark in the movie.
Well,
I thought that was like close to the end.
Well, in the theatrical release, I think it was definitely the back 2/3.
Oh, but
Back
this
to
is
the-
the
But in the extended,
edition
they
is
had
another,
all the
40.
extra. Yeah.
And I know everyone says like the extendeds are 4 hours long. They're not really 4 hours long. If you
Three and a half
yeah, they're like just over 3 because there's actually 20 minutes at the extra credits sequence of the Lord of the Rings fan club gets put in there. So they're only about a little over three and a half.
And so one of the things that Gene and I were talking about the other day, because we were looking for a movie to watch, and it was maybe 9:30, and we're like, well, I don't watch anything that's more than 2 hours because we want to get in bed by midnight. And like Thor Ragnarok is 2 hours and 30 minutes, right?
Yeah.
Spider-Man was more than 2 hours.
Yeah, a lot of
all of these big, even the big action movies that traditionally would be like an hour and 45 minutes are now pushing 2 hours and 30 minutes. So like 3 hours for a movie doesn't seem that long anymore compared to what it was when.
It's true. The water
Lord of the Rings
level is
came out.
rising on that front.
And of course, at that time, people wanted the adaptation. When the source material is so rich and so deep, yes, there are a lot of songs in there. People are happy to sit in the seats for 3 hours because they know things are going to cut out, and they want to see the things they read and imagined in their head.
Where's Tom
on
Bombadil?
screen?
We also got to fly in some World War I airplanes.
Yeah.
That seems exciting, and maybe so like Snoopy with the helmet and the goggles and the whole
pretty
thing.
much exactly. They had a Sopwith Camel, but we didn't fly in that one. We flew around the wilds of New Zealand, and in one of the airplanes, Peter has an airplane factory that makes World War I airplanes. We got to experience, after we were up, a triplane Fokker came in, and we got to see how close these planes can get in a dogfight and see some of the aerobatics that a Fokker can do, which is intense.
How fast did these planes go?
Not
very.
fast.
No. I mean, they can, because some of these surveillance planes would have flown very high. But what we were doing was relatively low.
Like
altitude
100
and
miles
low
an
speed.
hour?
No, not even.
Not
Not
even.
fast,
Yeah.
No.
He had a London double-decker bus, pre-war London double-decker bus that he had converted into a military vehicle, as the British did in World War I. And he would drive everyone who wasn't flying out to the runway for each flight as an observation
Peter
platform.
would. He jumped.
Peter's driving his bus, driving us in the bus.
Of course.
Yeah.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
spectacular.
And since we visited him, they have announced his next project. So I think we can talk a little about that. His
Okay.
BBC project, which is
yeah.
his restoration of World War I. He's making a documentary. His next thing, his passion, obviously, as we're talking about World War I, is a huge passion of his. And his next project is going to be a documentary, maybe a series or a film, using lots of archival footage from the BBC.
So this is BBC's
Oh,
archival. They've been basically everything they had on file had been converted to video in the 70s, basically filming it off a screen.
Yeah.
So he has them scanning it at 2K, and then he's running it through some special Weta sauce at Weta Digital. And we actually, when we were hanging out with him, Joey and Norm and I, we watched probably a couple of hours of this footage.
It gave us a tiniest glimpse of, as a director, how familiar he is and how passionate he can be about footage. And so you hear stories about, making of Lord of the Rings and making of The Hobbit, where they would go and watch their dailies. This was the tiniest glimpse of that with him and an iPad.
He had an iPad full of like 70 hours of this converted footage that he's working on for this doco, and he's showing it to us. And it's all these folders. It's like dead soldiers, or
tanks and airplanes and
cavalry, or whichever.
Yep.
And you're watching this, and it's been 2 hours looking at this footage, and he'll scroll and he'll go, oh, here, and he'll show this like submenu, and he'll go, in this one, a crow lands on one of the bodies. Watch this. And
Wow.
like every piece has this granular like bit in his brain that he has logged, and that was astounding.
So he's watching thousands of hours of footage, and he's
logging
like,
all of
he's
it.
like he's like making lists of lists.
I was totally reminded of those behind the scenes shots in Lord of the Rings for the second two, when he's got 3-second units. They're shooting something like 2 hours plus of footage per day, and everyone's staying up until 1 or 2 in the morning watching all the dailies from the previous day's shoot. And there's a long pan shot of the whole crew, Richard Taylor, everyone, all of them asleep, and Peter's awake, like taking notes, looking at the screen.
Yeah.
We were all remarking on that. It's exactly what it's like.
Does he just not sleep much?
It doesn't seem like he needs much.
Yeah. Okay.
I mean, it's such a prodigious brain, and to get to spend. We actually we visited some locations where if you visited some forested locations in Wellington, you're visiting some locations where Peter has filmed more than 1 or 2 or 3 of his films.
Yeah.
And so you get to hear stories from the local crew. Oh, we spent 5 days here. Oh, the Helm's Deep. What an exhausting shoot of nights in the rain, in costume, in armor. You get all these wonderful elaborations of how much history
And I do want to clarify that it's not like the dead bodies, like and the grotesqueness of war, which he's documenting. So much of this footage that the BBC had shot was film. It's all film footage, of course,
Right.
of the soldiers,
Inspections
and what they were doing. Like, it was documenting the faces of the people for their families.
Yeah.
Right. They would film them from the front lines before they would in their camps.
Yeah.
And then send it home, and people would watch them in their
In the local
theaters.
cinema.
Theaters, yeah.
And find the faces of their relatives or their loved ones.
And the degree to
Wow.
which the special sauce that Weta Digital's bringing to this scanned footage it's shocking. They're fixing all sorts of issues with it. I don't want to get too much into the technical details because it's pretty mind blowing. But it was astounding, and you're witnessing this footage in a completely new way.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm always really curious about that kind of found filmmaking.
Yeah.
Yeah, because is he? Well, I don't want to ask questions that we might.
There's
get in
a
trouble.
story. I'll put in the show notes where he has done a video introducing this documentary concept and as his next project. And I think what he's doing is after he makes it, he's going to make sure every school has a copy of it so they can show it.
Did we cover Scale of Our War on the podcast?
We did. We talked with we talked with Richard about that.
Unbelievable.
And he said it was the project he's most proud of.
Yeah.
At Weta.
Well, it's an astounding achievement. We covered this in the podcast, Will, but it's a set of 5 figured vignettes of World War I, except all the figures are hyper realistic. Every hair punch, every bruise, every scab is visible and feels completely real. There is no uncanny valley, yet all the figures are 2.5 times the size of a normal human.
Oh, right. You told me about this last time we were there.
It's life altering to see this. It is literally worth traveling to Wellington to see this at the Te Papa Museum.
Larger than life.
Larger than life. It is a completely other, nearly cinematic kind of experience. It's incredible.
Fascinating.
And we got to meet some great artists. I don't think we mentioned, but we met a new artist friend of ours, Gino Esvito, who works at Weta Digital and worked on many projects here in the States and LA.
Gino has an enviable man cave.
Yeah.
Full of some incredible stuff. I mean, I walked in, he's got a photo wall, and I saw some photos of some films he's obsessed with, and I realized I have never seen these behind the scenes shots before. And he's like, yeah, I mean, and he told me where he got them. I knew that person. I mean, it was like this very small, rarefied world that he collects in, and man, his collection is incredible.
Oh, that's fascinating.
Yeah.
So we left you. You went to Australia for how many days?
Like 10 or 11 days.
How was that?
Brain candy tour of Sydney, Adelaide, Perth, Melbourne, and Brisbane.
Okay.
Here's a funny thing about Australians. Australians love what they call taking the piss.
Yes.
Which is to take you down a notch, give you a little bit of the business. It's a very Anglo-Saxon thing to do, right? So the Australians love doing that. So when I take the piss out of the Australians, and they say, where are you going in Australia? And I go, oh, Sydney, Adelaide, Perth, Brisbane, Melbourne, all 5 cities.
Right.
Now, that's Australians don't like that joke.
No.
But they also don't like an American taking the piss out of them. So I noticed some Australians hiding the fact that they didn't like that joke because they didn't want to let me know that I'd gotten to them, which I found endlessly. Having had the piss taken out of me by a countless number of Aussies, I found it very enjoyable to return the favor.
Because Beyond, the company that ran Mythbusters, that produced Mythbusters, is an Australian company.
They
right?
are, and I got to see my own director, Alice, and one of my cameramen, Timmy, and I had lunch with Michael Borgland from Beyond. That's, again, more of my extended family. Listen, Australia is such a beautiful... New Zealand and Australia, both incredible countries. Perth, I love Perth. Nobody gets to Perth. Perth is a really beautiful place.
It's on the West Coast, right?
It's on the West Coast. Yeah. And then Melbourne, the San Francisco of Australia. I visited a dinosaur factory down there.
Oh, I saw some photos on Facebook. So this is the Walking with Dinosaurs people.
Yeah.
They do a stage show with life-size dinosaurs puppeted with people inside.
Incredible technology.
Wow.
Absolutely beautiful. Creature Technologies is the name of the shop, and their creative director reached out to me through Tested, I think, and invited me to come by their shop in Melbourne. And holy hell, these guys are doing... They have... with the smallest amount of stage trickery, they've built effectively full-size walking T-Rexes that can walk around an open space.
How many people puppet those?
That is 3. It takes 3 people to puppet one of those.
A full-size T-Rex is like 20 feet tall, 25 feet tall?
18 feet tall.
And are they like stick puppets where they're walking underneath?
No.
They...
This is full hydraulically or electrically actuated dinosaurs that can look around, blink, snap, make sounds.
So is there... Okay. Is there a human inside that's working the legs?
There's no humans inside.
Okay.
The legs are automatic, but under the legs is a sled that a human rides in. Lies down.
Okay.
And then there's Waldo. There's one Waldo. They don't call it a Waldo. They called it something else. There's one Waldo for controlling many of the gross movements, and then there's another second Waldo for controlling other movements. And there are some puppets, like their King Kong takes like 4 people to operate.
Wow.
Did you get to see the King Kong?
I got to see the King Kong. They're doing stuff with muscles where they're able to actually replicate the musculature underneath the skin on these puppets and keep them super lightweight. There were some innovations here that I had never imagined in keeping these things both lightweight and hyper realistic, and also reparable, because these aren't one-time use.
For film.
They're not props, yeah.
These are theme park dinosaurs that have to be able to survive years of the most horrifying abuse from the sun and the rain and the people and
And when we saw a little bit of that when we went behind the scenes for Lion King, and they take that show on the road, and just like this, they have to go on stage every night and perform.
But those puppets are a little more stylized. Like it seems like it's easier to do something stylized than do something that's hyper realistic.
It was fascinating to talk to them about the engineering requirements when you perform at a Disney or a large theme park, because the theme park has so much experience with all manner of different mechanical failures, because even made out of welded steel and giant pieces of machine cast billets of aluminum and iron and steel, the amount of stress on these machines is so massive. Things break all the time. And so the theme parks have these, it's like working for NASA, right? They have these incredible specs, and these guys meet them and are able to make money doing it. It's really exciting. Long story short, Tested will at some point visit Creature Technologies. We talked about this. We started setting this up so that we can see what they do and maybe help and play with them, because you got to see this stuff up close.
I can't wait to see that.
I have some video which I can send to you and we can put
we'll
up,
post up.
of just me operating one that turned out I was allowed to show.
Cool.
Yes.
Awesome.
I've got dinosaurs on the brain.
Did you meet any fans, interesting fans at meet and greets? Or
Yes.
John Reyes?
John Reyes, who had sent me the pop vinyl figure that he built of me, showed up at the show and had made these beautiful Indiana Jones and Han Solo 4.5-inch action figures of me on the cards.
Wait, what?
That he had done with the graphics.
Blister packed.
Like Kenner Star Wars scale.
Except instead of the Kenner logo, he turned the Kenner logo into a Tested logo.
Oh my God!
It's so pretty amazing to see.
We have some of those photos. I'm going to put them in the video so you guys can check those out.
The fans were, there's a very regular thing we hear from the fans, and I might have said this the last time I came back from the tour. If someone in their late 20s comes up, they grew up on my show. If someone in their early 20s shows up, what they say is, I got them through high school math, and Michael Stevens got them through college physics. And there was that repeated refrain, like Michael's demographic is about 10 years younger than mine, which totally makes sense. And that fan split of doing the meet and greets each night and meeting these different Australian fans who Vsauce and Mythbusters had meant something to, it's never-endingly inspiring. People kept bringing us stuff that they'd made and bringing us pictures of stuff that they'd built. That was great. And the crowds in Australia were, if anything, better than the last time I toured with Jamie. They were really enthusiastic,
that's awesome.
loving, great crowd.
This is the first time you went to Australia with Michael, right?
Yes.
Oh,
yeah.
cool. Very good.
There's one more person that you met that I want to hear about. Because I saw you posted this on Twitter.
I did. I got to meet one of my YouTube heroes, John Plant, a.k.a. Primitive Technologies guy.
Awesome.
I know. I have heard the man speak. That felt to me like a life achievement.
I love. He did a video of like how to build a hut.
Yep.
That I feel like everybody who ever goes on Survivor should commit to full memory.
John is an incredible person. We've been corresponding for several months. I reached out because I'm such a huge fan. No, I'm not going to tell you where he lives. No, I'm not going to tell you any more information than is on his page. He's private and deservedly so. I appreciate that because his work really speaks for itself. Primitive Technologies is one of my favorite YouTube channels in the world. I watch them all in the moment they come out, and it was thrilling to talk to him about this behind the scenes. I had so many technical questions and engineering questions. That was really thrilling.
I want to know more about his process than probably the Weta process. That's interesting. It's pretty well documented. I want to know more about where he gets his information.
Maybe we end up doing something together in the future. I don't know. We just basically got together to have dinner and start a friendship.
Did you build a fire yourself? Did you nap some flint?
Hey, I'm gonna go out and have a smoke.
Right. Did you hand axe the meat off of the animal yourself? Like, what was the?
I had a steak. That felt appropriate.
Okay, that seems good. Yeah.
Nice.
Cool.
Nice. How have you been spending your time, Will?
Let's see. The flu has ravaged North America. It's still not too late to get vaccines. The vaccine's not super effective, but it's worth doing. If my daughter's pediatrician saved me, because when we called and we're like, hey, do we need to bring her in to see this? The pediatrician was like, no, but if you have people in your house with the flu, anybody who doesn't have it yet should call their doctor and get Tamiflu right now.
Oh.
And I called my GP and he was like, oh yeah, that's a really good idea. You should do that. And I felt bad for like one day.
Wow,
which was
not bad.
Beats the 6 days that everybody else is getting.
Yeah.
So highly recommend. But also I was vaccinated, so a long time ago. I went to Ord Camp again, which
Chicago.
It's in Chicago.
Gone.
It's always in like January, which is the best time of year. Like in the entrance to the camp, they have a big sign that says, "You must be a complete badass to come visit Chicago in January." It was really nice. It was like 40 degrees. I hung out with our friends at Cards Against Humanity for a little bit.
Nice.
I saw a bunch of friends of Tested, Dan Shapiro, and a bunch of other folks that you guys all know. I learned how to. I got to. So Ord Camp is it's a foo camp alike. So it's like a build your own conference. They just bring a bunch of interesting people and give everybody Post-it notes at the start of the conference and tell people to either write something that they're happy to teach people or write something that they'd like to learn about, and then you stick it on a big board and it kind of self-organizes into a schedule.
That sounds really cool.
I learned about beekeeping. I made yogurt in an Instant Pot.
Do you know about the controversies with beekeeping or fake honey?
No.
That's in the Anthony Bourdain documentary, The Rotten. It's the first episode. I'd recommend it.
Oh, well, so the person who, Janet Kinsman, who I think does Doodle Booth too, and has been at PAX and stuff like that.
Okay.
But she is a beekeeper. She does Bike a Bee in Chicago. And they are the people you call in Chicago if you have bees where you don't want bees, and they will come take the bees away and put them in a home where they can produce honey. And she does hyper local honey. So normally you get honey and you kind of blend it with all the places. But Chicago, each of the neighborhoods has unique foliage. So like some of the honeys from like one neighborhood are more astringent because they have a lot of like lingonberries and stuff like that. That may not be right, but like they have the flowers that the bees eat there give the really, really super distinct flavor. It's really neat. I learned how to puppet.
What?
So they're God, I can't remember Liz's last name. A writer from Sesame Street was there, and she and Mary Robinette Quall Robinette brought their puppets. Mary was on Busy Town, and they taught us how to do TV puppetry. So they had TV monitors set up, and they brought the puppets, and we made peepers. They had peepers there that are just basically ping pong balls with dots stuck on them and a piece of elastic that goes around your finger. And they taught us how to hand puppet with just the hands, and then we got to use the real puppets for a little bit, which was really cool. And the TV and use the TV monitor and all, which is the part that I'd never done before. And it's amazing. It is shocking how hard it is to keep your hand vertical when it's up like this.
Don't even get me started. I've watched Dave Goelz perform a couple of times now. He's the Gonzo, and it's astounding to me what they do. I got to hang out with Dave and Frank Oz at last year's South by, where they unleashed a Muppet. It was called,
I know. Oh gosh, the
Muppet
documentary
Guys
series.
Talking.
Yeah.
And it's very fun to hear Muppeteers joke about each other's different proclivities. Because they all have different styles.
Oh, yeah.
And they all know each other's style very uniquely. It's very enjoyable.
Well, one of the things, so there was a Q&A along with the session.
Yeah,
and like basically people are asking questions. We talk about like Carol Spinney and how Carol Spinney does Big Bird.
Yeah.
And what that he's still doing TV puppetry because he's looking at a monitor down on his chest, which is incredible.
Yeah.
And then one of the most interesting questions we had out of that session, because I know people here like puppeteers, was how you do two puppets that are puppeted by the same person in the same scene.
Oh, wow.
Usually. And the answer was basically, hey, there's an understudy, and one person will go through and do the flip, and then they'll ADR the voice back in afterwards, because it's not like you're flipping back and forth between the voices.
Right.
It was
fascinating.
Yeah, it was super good. Ord Camp. If you have a chance to go to a food camp like thing, highly recommend it.
Yeah.
If you think it sounds cool, start one yourself. Ord Camp had 400 people, 450 people. They're basically as big as they can get for the space they have now, I think. And it started as 35 people or 50 people 10 years ago now. So
I so want to go. I've never been able to make the time work, and we were in New Zealand.
Yeah. I mean, it's unfortunate you were half a world away.
I mean, we missed Sketchfest. Sketchfest was here.
We
just
missed
wrapped
the
up.
entirety of Sketchfest. I mean, it was killing me looking at the Twitter feed of all my friends who were here in San Francisco, and I didn't get to see them.
It was really good this year. There was a lot of good stuff this year.
I'm so sad that I missed it. I wished it's the first year I haven't had a gathering here in the cave for Sketchfest. But
Yeah.
we were having an amazing time. I am still sleeping too late. I'm still unable to kind of get over the jet lag, but it's really, really nice to be back. And we have some fun plans this year.
Totally. Yes.
Cool.
Yeah. It feels like the year finally can kick off.
What do you guys do on that long flight, just out of curiosity?
I actually got a lot of flight across the ocean. A lot of sleep across the
Do you
ocean.
do the old
I'm
okay.
sitting in the comfy seats.
Yeah, well, no, I know that. but the
I got 7 hours of sleep on the way there.
Did you have the pod with the thing that goes over
No,
the top?
it's not quite that.
Not that. Not Sultan
You
class.
get that on the way to Dubai.
Okay.
Not but Air New Zealand, without a doubt, full stop, my favorite airline. They have hundreds and hundreds of movies. Last time I flew them, not this time, but last time, they had a category of movies that Bill Murray's in. That was one of the choices you could make.
I can't imagine a better cat. Did they have Quick Change? That's the one, the deep cut, I guess.
I love Quick Change.
It's so good.
Such a good movie.
Norm?
That's actually
I
got
find
a
it
very
more-
funny. Quick Change has. Sorry.
Go ahead. No.
Quick Change has a very funny, one of my favorite continuity errors in any movie ever.
Ooh.
He's supposed to be at a payphone in Brooklyn, and up behind him, you can see clearly on the light pole behind him one of the 49 Miles Scenic Drive San Francisco seagull signs.
Nice.
Oh, man, that's like the Pac Bell payphones in Die Hard 2 set in Dulles Airport in Washington, D.C.
Yeah.
Oh, that's really funny.
I can't watch movies on airplanes.
No?
Too small?
A little bit too small, and I get intimately familiar with how uncomfortable I am. What I do is I watch the movies other people are watching and try to deduce the storylines.
Oh,
I love doing that.
I watched Logan Lucky on the plane.
Logan Lucky's fabulous, isn't it?
Amazing.
Yeah, no, it's a Soderbergh ass heist movie.
Every bit
set
as
in
much
West
fun
Virginia.
as you hope that it is.
Yeah.
You just have to. Daniel Craig's accent slips a couple times. His West Virginia accent.
I was really pleased with it
But
overall.
man, it is so great to watch these wonderful actors do. Yeah, again, it's a great heist movie. If you liked Ocean's 11, Logan Lucky is your movie. This is really fun.
Yeah, Gina and I put that on a few months ago, and we're like, this is a really good movie. Who knew that Steven Soderbergh made good movies? Huh.
It's fantastic.
Excellent.
Anything on the site?
Yes. We actually have some stuff for subscribers. Pushing out a couple stuff that we filmed at the end of last year. Sean and Jeremy did a really cool animatronics build with a kit they bought at Monster Palooza, and with our new friend Kate Sabaker painted that in the shop here actually. So
Cool.
that's up on the site right now. And
You have a new series with Ariel.
Yes. We also have a second episode of our show called Offworld, and it's just a show about geeking about old space movies and their intersections with science and pop culture. And we've shot 4 of those already, so those will be rolling out over the next couple weeks.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Yeah.
We will see you guys next week.
Yeah.
Yes.
Thanks for watching, everybody.
Thanks
Yeah.
for watching.
Bye.